Welcome to First Impressions. All right, now I'm going to do my first impression on City of Bones. Now, if you're just tuning in onto First Impressions, this is your first video you see, I have another video before this one, which I had did on Nightshade First Impressions. Okay, so this right here, book is by Cassandra Clare, City of Bones, and the cover is beautiful. Okay, I give the cover, I say I give it an A. It's very creative. I like the body. I like the body. Okay. All right. This book is 400 plus pages, and the first chapter in this book is called. This book takes place in New York. Okay, and the first chapter is Pandemonium, and it's a club where Clary, the two main characters, Clary and Simon, goes. Her name is Clarice. I know a part was in there with Clarice, but they call her Clary for short, I guess. Okay, but anyway, I'm just going to sum up chapter 1, 2, and 3 for you. Okay. Now, the Pandemonium Club, it was jumping and everything was going on, and the line was long, and Simon and Clary was trying to get into this club, this fancy club. So when they finally did get in it, they were sitting down, they was talking, they was dancing, and then all of a sudden, Clary shouts and says, "Simon, do you see that?" And so Simon is like, "What?" Simon, looked alarmed, but he couldn't see nothing. And she was like, go get help. So she seen this lady and these two guys take this other guy into a stock room and force this guy into the stock room. So, but Simon couldn't see what was going on. So he's like, "I don't see anything. You tripping." She was like, No, go get help. So he runs to get help. So she goes into the stock room. And when she, emerged from the stock room, sneaks in the stock room, she's like, Stop, don't kill him. Don't do that. I got summons the police. The police is coming. So in the meantime, they're talking to her and, cracking jokes and telling her, asking, how can you see us? But in the meantime, so they telling her, well, the police going to come, but they're not going to see anything, because you're the only one that can see us. And this haven't happened in thousands and thousands of years. But they looking at her like she's a human. But in the meantime, the guy, Jace, kills the guy, and the guy disappears. So she couldn't believe her eyes. She's like, oh, my God, no. This couldn't be happening. But when Simon and, the guy that he went to get help with, when they get there, it's just a stock room with stuff in there. And Clary's like, Simon's like, okay, well, what's going on? What happened? Where the people at? She was talking about. So she was like, oh, my mistake, my bad, But Simon like, what? Now you got me looking like a fool. You got this person over here rushing, and all this stuff. So she was like, I'm sorry. So the guy walks away, and Simon like, you lucky if they ever let us back in this club, this big to-do club, So she was like, come on, Simon. So her and Simon, they leave, and they goes out to take, catch a cab. They had a hard time catching a cab. When they finally did get one, that was in the back. She goes home. So the next one is called Secrets and Lies. This is number 2 chapter. So, the next day, she's trying to, her mother's an artist, and she's trying to be in the same footsteps as her mother, so she's trying to sketch this and stuff like that. But in the meantime, she can't get it together, so she tears up the paper or whatever. So in the Simon calls her, and you know, Clary picks up the phone and talks to them. They talking back and forth. So Simon asks her, you know, would you like to go to this coffee shop? You know, our friend is doing a poetry, you know. And so she was like, a poetry read? No, I don't want to do that. You know, he was like, come on, you know, we got to go for our support, whatever. And Clary like, okay, you know, no, because my mother, you know, she didn't want to go anyway. She's like, nope, my mother, I think she's still upset at me about last night because we came home so late, you know, and stuff like that. So then he was like, well, did you tell her, you know? And she was like, yeah, you know how my mom is and things like that. So they went back and forth about the situation. So Simon like, okay, look, Mom loves me. I'll be over there to get you. You know you're going, so just be ready. So in the meantime, you know, she, you know, comes out of her room and she sees that that her mother had packed up some boxes and stuff, and so her mother wasn't there. So when her mother and her boyfriend Luke came home, Luke walked in first, and so she asked Luke, you know, Luke, have you ever seen something somebody else haven't seen? You know, have you seen something out the ordinary? And he was like, no. And so she said, well, does that make me crazy or whatever? He was like, no, you know, and things like that. So they was conversating. Then her mother walked in, and she was asking her, well, what's going on with these boxes? And then she tells her, well, they're going to go on vacation. And vacation? When vacation? This summer, you know. So Luke is looking at her, at Clary's mom like, you know, you really need to tell her the truth. It was something there her mother wasn't trying to tell her. You know, she was like, Mom, you know, I got art, I done paid for my art classes in advance and things. I have plans, you know. You know, me and Simon, we have plans and stuff, you know. And so she was like, okay, well, Simon will understand, you know, and I'll reimburse you for your art classes, you know, but like, you really don't have a choice in the matter because you can't stay home by yourself. You know, you're just a teenager. So she's like, oh, you know, so she's really pissed off. So Simon comes, and Simon's like, okay, you know, can you go, whatever, you know, and her mother telling her, no, don't, you know. So she, you know, she glanced up at Simon, you know, and she was like, you know, come on, let's go, you know. So she, so her and Simon goes out the door. That's chapter 2. Now, chapter 3 is called Shadow Hunter. Okay, now, when they get there, by the time they get there, you know, their friend is already on stage, you know, with the microphone and swinging back and forth, you know, with, and, you know, doing his poetry, you know, reading and things like that. So, but in the meantime, you know, Clary tells, you know, Simon, well, Simon, go and, you know, get us some coffee, and I'll find us a seat. So she finds one way in the back. She's like, you know what, I don't, you know, when he get off stage, you know, he's going to embarrass us, so I think I'm going to get one way in the back. So, so she gets one way in the back. So Simon finally makes it back with the coffee. And so they was talking and stuff, and he, you know, he's like joking, like, oh, you know, Mom, you know, I'm in a band, and you know, all the guys have, you know, girls and stuff. I'm the only one that don't have a girl or whatever. But in the meantime, this girl was checking out Simon, so she was going to tell Simon, well, Simon, you know, that girl over there is looking at you or whatever. But he was interested in that. He was trying to tell her that he wanted a girl, you know, a girlfriend, and it was going to be her. But he didn't get a chance to tell her that because in the midst of all this conversation going on, and they friend up on the mic making himself look crazy, Clary see the shadow hunter, Jace. And she's like, I know doggone what, he's not following me. She says this in her mind. She can't say it out loud. So she's like, you know, she noticed Jace looking at her and staring and got up out of his seat and then left. So she's like, okay, let me get this straight right now. So she's like, Simon, hold on, hold your conversation right now, boo. I'll be back. So she goes, and finds Jace. Jace is in the alley now, so she finds him and she, you know, I know you're not following me. Why are you following me? So now he breaks it down to her, you know, this hasn't happened in 1,000 years. You've seen us. You're supposed to be human. You need to come with me. My boss want to see you. So either you're willing to come with me or I'm going to take you by force. So in the meantime, before all this was going on, her mother was calling her, trying to get in touch with her after she left with Simon. But she wouldn't pick up her phone. She was so ticked off with her mom, she didn't want to have nothing to do with her mom. So while she in the alley with talking to Jace, her phone rings, so she's like, okay, this is my mom. Let me pick it up. She finally picks up the phone, but a little bit too late. She picks up the phone, and then she tells her mom, Mom, I'm okay. I'm with Simon, and her mother's like, okay, but, okay, oh, my God, Clary, do not come home. Do not come home tonight. Stay with Simon. Please, do not come home. And she's like, Mom, what's wrong? What's wrong? So in the meantime, she's trying to get control of what's going on with her mom, and Jason's standing over here looking at her all crazy and asking, is everything okay? So she's saying she's hearing all this banging and all this stuff in the background, is violent stuff going on, and she hollering for her mom, and her mom is telling her, just please do not come home until I contact you again. So she go, Mom, but Mom. So by that time, the phone hangs up. So when the phone hang up, she's trying to call her back, and she's like, oh, my God, so she's all frantic-y and stuff, and her fingers and hands are shaking, and the phone drops, and the phone cracks, so she can't use her phone. So she's saying, oh, my God. Okay, so she looked at Jace, and Jace is like, what? What's going on? So she was like, I need your phone. So he had like a little sensor on his belt. So she snatched it. And he was like, that's not a phone, And so she's looking at these buttons, go, what is, all that stuff like that. So she was like, oh, she realized she couldn't use it. So she was like down the street from her house or whatever. She was like, okay. So she runs towards her house. So when she runs towards the house, she looked back for Jace, and she know that Jace was not behind her. So she's like, whoosh, thank God. So she's like, okay, well, let me go on and, run home. So she runs home real fast to see what happened to her mother. Okay, so that ends chapter 3. All right, I hope y'all enjoyed The City of Bones, the first 3 chapters, and I enjoyed the read. It was okay. It wasn't what I had expected. Out of them 3 chapters, I really enjoyed chapter 1 at the most. So, I'm on 122, okay? So, if you have read the book, tell me your opinion on the first 3 chapters. If you haven't read the book, tell me if you're going to read it or if you're not going to read it. Please leave a comment, okay? Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.